Welcome back. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Madalena.
And this is the fifth and final video in a series on chronic pain management. Last time we explored the relationship between pain and movement, and today we'll be going through a few mindfulness strategies to manage our pain.
In our previous video, we introduced the 3 M's of pain management. This approach looks at movement, medication, and the mind as an integrative strategy to understanding and treating pain. We want to reiterate that while medication may be an important part of your pain management, it's not within the scope of this particular series. In this video, we'll be talking about the relationship between pain and the mind. You'll remember from video 2 that what we practice grows stronger. That is, the more we do something, the more our brains want to choose that pathway. And the more that pathway gets used, the stronger it becomes, so that over time, we don't have to choose it at all. It's automatic. This phenomenon is called neuroplasticity. And one way that we can engage in this process of training the brain to choose those new pathways and responses is by practicing mindfulness. As we've discussed already throughout this series, mindfulness provides us with a different way to relate to our pain. Remember that this is more than simple awareness. It's the commitment to be with your experience exactly as it is in the moment, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And it involves being with these experiences without judgment, without striving to reach some other place that's pain-free. It includes some measure of acceptance, adding in a softness towards yourself wherever possible, and a sense of letting go, or relinquishing control over what's already happening.
Because what often happens is, we hold on. Vidyamala Birch, who is a meditation teacher and co-founder of the organization Breathworks, provides a wonderful explanation of this in her talk on chronic pain and mindfulness. The unaware human being, she explains, tends to live like the woman in this image. We don't like the unpleasant, so we push it away. Meanwhile, we're constantly trying to pull the pleasant towards us. Pain is the unpleasant. We don't like it, so we push it away and do everything we can to avoid the experience. But we do the opposite with things we like and want more of in our lives. So there's this constant push-pull of trying to avoid pain and prolong pleasure. But just like this image, all of that pushing and pulling takes a toll. We become strung out, uncomfortable, and tired. And so one of the practices that Vidyamala Birch offers instead is called turning toward. It involves turning toward the pain, which goes against our natural instinct to push it away. In this practice, we turn toward pain with kindness and tenderness and an openness to seeing that all experience is fluid and dynamic. Even our pain is just a flow of sensations. It's continually changing. We're going to try turning toward now. As with any mindful minute in the series, this practice is completely optional. In moments of crisis or danger, this practice of turning toward and being with experience may not be what's called for. For some people, like those with complex histories of trauma, turning toward pain may be particularly challenging, and so depending on your own situation, you need to do what's right for you. Please remember that you can always skip a mindful minute.
To begin this practice, find a comfortable seat, or you may choose to lie down. Gently close your eyes, or maybe you keep the eyes open with an unfocused gaze. Begin to bring yourself to the present moment. Notice your body making contact with your chair, or maybe the floor, whatever surface is below you. Notice your shoulders, your hands. Bring your attention to the breath. Breathing in and out. Noticing your body move with every inhale and exhale. As you breathe, you might become aware of some unpleasant sensation. Gently turn towards it, continuing to breathe. When we feel pain, we might stop breathing sometimes. Notice if there's any resistance to even turn towards or pay attention to this unpleasant sensation. and gently lean in using your breath. As you notice the sensation, think about how you would describe it and try to be specific. Is it sharp or dull? What size is it? What shape? Where is it in the body? Notice its boundaries. The boundary being where the unpleasant sensation stops. And try to soften just beyond that boundary. Again, using your breath. Notice how the sensation might be changing in shape and size. Maybe the edges are changing. And as you're paying attention, you might be aware of some feelings or emotions that you have about the sensation. There might be anger, fear, or sadness. Take a moment to use your words to describe it. Saying to yourself simply, I am noticing. Blank. And try to soften to this reaction gently with the breath too. Noticing that you're feeling just like the sensation might be changing. Now, place your hand maybe on the part of your body where you feel this unpleasant sensation, or maybe you bring your hand to your heart or your belly, bringing a comforting touch like you would when you comfort someone else who might be in pain. Meet your pain with kindness, recognizing that this would be difficult for anybody. And try to hold it gently. And breathe into your sensation. Simply allow it to be there. And that doesn't mean that you like it or approve of it. Just acknowledge that this is what you are feeling right now. To gently come out of this practice, take an inhale and an exhale, opening your eyes, and take notice of your surroundings.
It's important to recognize that the turning toward practice will not always be appropriate in the moment. So sometimes we feel more pain or more sensation, or we become a little bit too attached to that pain and sensation. We're not able to breathe through it in that practice. And so there's another practice that you could try called shifting away. And it's similar to a few of the other mindfulness minutes that we've tried in this series. You could anchor your awareness on your breath or on some other sensation in the body, which might be pleasant, but might just be neutral as well, and either one will work. But just this idea of understanding that it might not always be the right time to turn toward, and that's okay.
As we mentioned, it's not always possible to turn toward. And as Vidyamala Birch explains, it's not the ultimate goal either. We're not meant to turn toward our pain and then stay there. And so you have this other option to practice shifting away, or even seeking out pleasant experiences and holding them in your awareness along with your pain. And instead of the push-pull, you have perhaps a more balanced way of being. It's not that the pain goes away, or even that our awareness of the pain stops altogether. But now we're holding both in our awareness, the pleasant and unpleasant, the entirety of our experience, all of our sensations, and seeing that they are fluid and changing. And we can rest here with broad, open awareness, allowing everything to rise and fall, over and over, moment by moment. When you try to be with the entirety of your experience and recognize its inherently changing nature, you might engage less in trying to change it. As you do this more and more, you might notice or feel a greater sense of ease in your life. When we do this, we are engaging in neuroplasticity. Each time we choose to be with what is, instead of turning or pushing away, we're retraining our brains to attend to the broader experience and to be less reactive overall. Remember that this is actually forging new pathways in your brain, new connections, which in turn will have an impact on our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors.
In a moment of intense pain or difficulty, though, it might not be easy or even possible to access the specific mindfulness practices that we've done so far. In those instances, you might find it useful to focus only on your breath. Here are some breathing exercises to help you stay anchored to the present moment. The first is called square or box breathing. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Then, either close your eyes or soften your gaze, and imagine a box with 4 even sides. Or you could even find something in your field of vision that's square, or nearly square, to focus your gaze. Each side of this square represents a part of your breath. As you breathe in, count to 4 in your head, and imagine that you're traveling up the left side of the box with your inhale. At the top, pause and count to 4, holding your breath and imagining that you're traveling along the top edge of the box. Then, begin to let go of that breath, mentally traveling down the right side of the box for a count of 4 on your exhale. Finally, pause and hold your breath once again as you count to 4 and imagine traveling along the bottom edge of the box. Now you've returned to where you started, and you can begin again with an inhale. If a 4 count feels too long, feel free to try 3 or even 2 until you become comfortable with the pattern. Counting while you breathe is one way to stay engaged and present in the moment. Another practice is called humming breath, or bee breath. The idea here is to create sensation on the exhale as a way of staying anchored to the present moment. Start by sitting or lying comfortably. Take a few natural breaths and close your eyes or soften your gaze. Then, seal your lips and take a deep breath in through your nose. As you exhale, make the sound of the letter M, which is essentially a humming sound, until you feel the need to inhale again. Start over with your breath in, humming every time you breathe out. Some people find it helpful to plug the ears, as this amplifies the sound of your humming. And finally, you can try a mantra practice along with your breath. A mantra is a powerful sound, word, or phrase. It can be anything you like, anything that resonates with you. But it can also be as simple as a description of what you're doing in the moment. For this practice, sit or lie comfortably. As you inhale, say silently to yourself, "I am breathing in." And as you exhale, say, "I am breathing out." Another mantra that might be useful to maintain present awareness is, "I am here now." This can be said on the inhale, exhale, or both. Feel free to create your own mantra, but remember that the focus for this practice is on the breath.
And so, as we come to the end of the series on mindful approaches to pain and reflect on the experience, we can gather everything we've covered into a larger pain management toolbox. First, you have your previous pain management strategies, things you know have worked for you in the past. But now you also have additional knowledge about pain science, where pain comes from, how we experience it in our mind and body, and what factors contribute to our overall experience of pain. You know more about your strengths and how you might use them in moments of pain and suffering. And you also have a collection of self-compassion exercises that you can tap into at any time. You know more about the relationship between pain and movement, and have added a few concrete strategies to your toolbox, including the activity log, energy conservation, activity modifications, and pacing. And lastly, you've added some specific mindfulness practices to your toolbox, such as present moment awareness, exploring sensations, stop, a 1-minute breathing exercise, turning toward, and shifting away. But more than that, we've talked about mindfulness as a way of being. The resources and practices we've listed here can be accessed and used in the moment, but overall, subtle shifts in our experience happen through cultivating more awareness into our lives, being more open and curious and willing to be with what is. And when we do this, we experience more well-being.
We would like to acknowledge our fieldwork supervisor, Ruby Naffo, for the wealth of knowledge she's provided over the last several weeks, and for her guidance, especially in creating this video series. We also extend our gratitude to Union Yoga and Wellness for welcoming us as student occupational therapists. A heartfelt thank you to our friend and collaborator, Brianna Goldberg, for providing original music for the series and for her support always. And thank you to all of our teachers past and present, especially those at the University of Toronto, who have contributed to our knowledge and understanding of pain, of occupational science and therapy, and of mindfulness. Many times throughout this series, we referenced extensive research that we completed on pain science and management strategies. That research has been compiled in a document for further exploration. We have also relied on experts in the mindfulness community countless times, including Vidya Mala Birch, John Kabat-Zinn, and Kristen Neff. A document with references to their work has also been compiled. Links to these references and resources can be found in the description of this video.
And lastly, we'd like to thank you for joining us. We highly encourage you to reflect on the material in this series, to think about the things that you learned, what you liked, and what you want to know more about, but also what didn't resonate with you and why. Ultimately, you are the expert on your own experience, and no one knows or understands your pain better than you. Continue to seek out information, integrate new learning into what you already know, and remain hopeful.